What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Danny Show. Happy New Year to everyone who's watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to the beginning of 2022. Thanks for joining me on this channel. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started, I want to, like I said, Happy New Year to everyone, and also thoughts and prayers are with Roman Reigns as he fights the big homie named Omi, as Pat McAfee liked to put it. But Omi is no friend of ours, so screw homie. But thoughts and prayers to Roman. That son of a biscuit, COVID got to him a little bit. But hopefully it's a speedy recovery because sometimes people catch it and it goes away. People do recover from it, so thankfully. So thoughts and prayers are with him. Hopefully he'll be back in time to continue his amazing reign as Universal Champion. But with that being said, let's get started tonight with day one. Our first match of the evening starts with the New Day versus the Usos, and this put a lot of pressure on the Usos considering that Roman Reigns was absent due to protocol, which I respect. But it was a match that featured those two. And fun fact, Woods is also from Atlanta, a former hometown of mine. But we started this match with those two teams, and it was amazing. So, Jimmy and King Woods start off the show, but I believe it was Kofi who would tag in later and get isolated. However, during this match, we would see Jimmy, I believe, was it Jimmy or Jay? Jay actually did this move where he would run his bottom into Kofi's face. And they would usually say it's homage to Rikishi, their father, when actuality the move was made more so famous by Umaga. And they mentioned Umaga tonight, thankfully, because Umaga is hardly ever mentioned when that running move on the apron is ever done. But tonight they mentioned him. Thankfully they did that. Also, Kofi was isolated until Woods would get in, and then we would see cross bodies and things of that nature. They would trade forearms. I believe it was Jay and was it Jay? Yeah, it was Jay and Woods would trade forearms. Kofi tags in and would deliver a cross body. Kofi showed great resilience, kicking out of doubles, super kicks, and splashes. That wasn't enough to keep them down. Of course, Kofi having an injured leg, Jimmy goes after it with a half crab, but thankfully Kofi did not tap out to that match. But what I saw that was very interesting was near the end, where instead of using the double splash, which didn't work, they pulled something out of the Dudley Boys playbook by using the 3D, or as Pat McAfee called it, the 1D, as we pay homage to Roman Reigns. Once again, the Usos are the ones. And they had to win that match because that would be fitting as tribute to Roman, whom we hope gets well soon. So, to the bloodline, we the ones. The second match of the evening features Drew McIntyre versus former stooge of the Joker, Madcap Moss. And I gotta be honest, Madcap Moss, as we can all agree, is not funny at all. Every time I watch him tell jokes, I fall asleep. But most fans were upset at him dissing Atlanta, which I personally do not appreciate. But either way, the match starts off. Drew is strong, but of course, Madcap Moss took control of the match, and honestly, Madcap Moss should stick to wrestling because obviously, being a former stooge of the Joker didn't work, and telling lame jokes that make us all snore does not work. So just stick to wrestling, man. Stick to wrestling. And he was great until he attempted to run and crashed Drew in the turnbuckle post, but he ran so fast like a defense lineman on the Atlanta Falcons, he crushed himself by crashing into the turnbuckles. And just before Drew McIntyre could get control, got to give respect to Madcap Moss, former stooge of the Joker, for catching Drew into a fallaway slam. But despite the Joker's former stooge best effort, Drew McIntyre comes in with a Claymore kick. But this story is not over, as during a backstage interview, a post-match interview, Joker stooge Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin ambushed Drew in the back and would crush Drew's neck by hooking his head to a chair like Kane did in '04 and then crushing him with some type of steel bar. So we may not be seeing Drew for a little bit, but this rivalry is far from over. And this, I guess we got a little bit of a serious side from Joker's former stooge, Madcap Moss. Our third match of the night consists of RK Bro, who was accompanied tonight by Atlanta's own Migos, a rap group from Atlanta area, and they were accompanied by them to face off against the Street Profits, who want the smoke. So, of course, it starts off with Riddle and Angelo Dawkins showing off great sportsmanship and mixing it up a little bit, filling out process. Then Randy Orton gets in and they mix it up. Street Profits mock Randy Orton with his pose, but Randy Orton gets back by teasing Angelo Dawkins with a RKO scare. He didn't actually do it. He just did one of these, gotcha, and scared him off. Montez Ford tags in, by the way, husband of Bianca Belair, tags in, and for some reason, I thought we were wrestling, but we just went from wrestling to stomp the yard because, no, not stomp the yard, more so of you got served. Because he comes in, Montez Ford, I'm speaking of, and starts breakdancing and doing all a bunch of moves, moving his shoulders like he Michael Jackson and stuff. And Randy Orton's looking like, what the heck is he doing? So, Randy Orton would take a chop from Montez, and Randy Orton would give a thump to the eye, and then Riddle would tag in and get isolated for a few minutes before Orton would tag in and try to get some momentum going. Montez Ford, as always, is the highlight of the match that he's in. Whatever tag match he's in, Montez is usually the highlight of it. And he proved it tonight by delivering a senton from the turnbuckle, running through the turnbuckle, onto Randy Orton and Riddle. Despite his attempt to be the highlight of the match, he was caught trying to deliver a frog splash but missed, and he does the best frog splashes, by the way. Then Riddle comes in and launches Ford in midair, and Randy Orton catches him with the RKO for the victory. After the match, the Street Profits would show Randy Orton and Matt Riddle great respect, RK Bro as the team is known, and of course they would greet Migos also, I hope I pronounced that correctly, the Atlanta recording artist rap group. They would all walk out with great respect for one another. So it was a cool moment. This next match was one of the matches I was really looking forward to. And while I was looking forward to Roman versus Brock, and I'm going to talk about that later, I was also looking forward to this match because they built these guys up tremendously, especially with the promos they delivered and the wedding. I really love that wedding, and Edge ruining it. So this match was between Edge and The Miz, and the build-up was awesome, and the match would prove to be awesome. It started off with Miz coming out, and ladies and gentlemen, I really love when Edge channels his brood side. We saw him do it at SummerSlam last year, and we saw it at the beginning of this year. So guys, if you saw it, you were in for a treat. Edge comes out with his Brood entrance, and the entrance was just awesome. And then back to Metalingus. So there was a filling out process, and in my personal opinion, I think the match was very even, as well as a bit slow paced, but still even, because with both guys trading control and trading momentum, you can see as Edge delivered the execution from the apron onto the floor, Edge would start to limp a little bit. So the match would become a bit of a slow pace. And I'm going to say this in humor. This is just for humor, but Corey Graves is the new age Jerry the King Lawler. And the reason why I say that is because if you watch anything from Attitude and Ruthless Aggression, you know Jerry Lawler is just a woman worshiper. Oh, look at that, JR! Puppies! Puppies, JR! Puppies! That used to get on my nerves. And I can't say what puppies alludes to. Some of you know what it alludes to. But Jerry Lawler objectifying, with his objectifying behavior, was just annoying. Just ruined a lot of the matches were great if I didn't have to hear him sometimes, because sometimes he'd be saying stuff and I'm like, Jerry, shut up. And it's the same with Corey Graves. All Corey could think about was Maurice. And oh, look, Maurice is so great and beautiful. Who cares? We're trying to watch a match here, Corey. And I'm going to tell Miz that you are lusting after another man's wife. I'm going to tell. But keep Maurice in mind, because something real interesting happened. But during the match, we will see, after Edge is limping a little bit and the match is slow paced, we will see Miz attempt a skull crushing finale, which was countered by Edge. We would see Edge deliver a cross body. We would see figure four leg locks and whatnot. But thanks to Maurice, and I gotta say this because I never got a chance to talk about this, but what kind of man, and I know it's entertainment, but what kind of man puts his wife in harm's way? Seriously? You're, a man is supposed to protect his wife, not put her in danger. How did Jason say on Fast Fate of the Furious? Where I'm from, we don't need women to run to our rescue. And of course, Miz needs his wife to run to his rescue, because Maurice would slap Edge when the ref's back was turned, giving Miz the advantage to deliver the skull crushing finale. Thankfully, it was a 2 count. And this is where business picked up, in the words of Jim Ross, who I'm so glad is better. This is where business picked up. Miz sitting there tells Maurice, look, and the fans start to get excited, and that's when I knew Beth Phoenix, the wife of Edge, was in the building, and she looks bad, you know what, total bad, you know what, just awesome. The hairstyle is cool. She's like the biker character. It was awesome. And so Maurice had to relive a nightmare of Beth Phoenix from back in 09, 10, and more so. But Beth Phoenix is in the house and she chased Maurice away. Maurice had on some high heel boots, so hopefully, so it didn't make her run any faster. But with the ground being even, not that Edge needed his wife to run to his rescue, but it made it much more entertaining to see Beth Phoenix. And did Beth do something special with her eyes? Because she had tiger eyes tonight, and it was awesome. But as Beth Phoenix, the Glamazon, chased Maurice out of the way, Edge speared The Miz for the win. That match was awesome. I think I'm going to have to do a part 2 later on this year on my favorite matches of Edge, because this will be included. Speaking of matches that will be added onto a top 10 favorite list, ladies and gentlemen, later on in this month, I will be doing a top 10 countdown of my favorite matches from Becky Lynch. And tonight's match will be on that list. It was great. First off, let me say that this match was also a very even playing field between two women. First off, ironically, both wearing black, women in black, like the men in black. But either way, Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch had an amazing match for the Raw Women's Championship, and it was a very even match. Liv showed a great deal tonight. She should be champion in the future, in my personal opinion. But tonight it was about Big Time Bex, as Big Time Bex brought a fight of her own. Let's talk about Liv for a second. Liv was very aggressive. She tried to steal the armbar, the disarmor from Becky Lynch, but used an armbar of her own. But Becky gained some control and began to demand that Corey Graves, who sucks up to the heels sometime, which means villain wrestlers, she demanded that Corey Graves tell the world how great Becky Lynch is. Also, Becky Lynch, her taunting, boastful ways would catch up to her as Liv Morgan would deliver this move where she would push her opponent's face into the turnbuckle. That was not enough. We saw some more amazing highlights, which would be Liv Morgan delivering her own version of a sunset flip powerbomb. And of course, Morgan was able to be at the ropes during the disarmor, which only lasted 5 seconds, simply for the fact that her foot was on the rope the entire time. So the match, like I said, was even. But what ended the match was when Liv was looking for the Oblivion. By the way, great missile dive by Liv Morgan. But when we saw the Oblivion done by Liv Morgan, or attempt Oblivion, Becky Lynch would counter it with, I believe, the manhandle slam, which is her version of The Rock's move known as Rock Bottom. And that was the match that won her the championship, which means Becky Lynch retains, but Liv has nothing to be ashamed of. She's a future champion, in my personal opinion. Last but not least, let's get down to the Fatal 5-Way match. First off, let me just say, very entertaining promo cut by Brock Lesnar earlier, and Kayla looked kind of scared. But either way, great promo by Brock Lesnar. It was very entertaining, and it was indeed a spoiler. It was a Fatal 5-Way match that when you have more than 2 guys in one ring, let alone 5, you can expect tons of highlights. And the last match of the evening got so many great highlights in that match. Starting off with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins attacking and double teaming Brock Lesnar while Big E and Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, fight on the outside. Brock Lesnar would take Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins to Suplex City before Big E would come in the ring and clear out the ring. He would be the last one standing in the ring. Shortly after, we will see Bobby Lashley spear Brock Lesnar through the barricade. And we would also see Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens continue to work together, with Seth delivering a missile dive onto Brock, with Kevin Owens frog splashing Brock on the outside following that move. We saw Big E deliver a version of the Rock Bottom onto Bobby Lashley through the announce table. And then later on, we will see Brock Lesnar just F5 everyone except for Bobby Lashley, who would immediately spear Brock Lesnar after the F5 to Kevin Owens. But after that, Bobby Lashley would go for the Hurt Lock, which is his version of Chris Masters' Master Lock. Brock Lesnar would not tap out. We knew he wouldn't tap out, but Big E would come to break the hold, going for a big ending towards Bobby Lashley, and Brock Lesnar would come in and counter the big ending into an F5, and now Brock Lesnar is the champion. Some of the crowd in Atlanta was shocked, but as you saw in the replay, a lot of people in the crowd from the bottom to the balcony were celebrating as Brock got the 1, 2, 3, because Brock and Big E were two of the baby faces of that match, whereas Bobby Lashley, Seth, and Owens were the heels. But that match happened. Brock was added to that match because Roman Reigns tested positive and had to stay out. Hopefully he's better soon, and we will see him again on Friday Night SmackDown. But for now, Brock Lesnar is your reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. As Paul Heyman would do it. That's the best impression I could deliver to Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar's the champ, ending day one off. And I'm going to tell you something. This was a great event, and hopefully we get to see Brock Lesnar and the Almighty in a dream match someday. But until next time, I'm your host, Daniel Cody. Let me know what you thought about tonight's. What did you think about tonight's review and tonight's show altogether? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified on all things wrestling. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. Happy New Year to everybody, and have a great weekend. See you soon.